Right, here we are. We're recording.
Friday.
You watching? So,
Introduce the mascot of the
the
podcast,
mascot of the
George.
podcast with growling. Barkley.
He's
Is it
raging, is he?
Barkley? Are you Mr.
Barkley.
Dog?
Look at he's raging. He's like, nah, I'm not in none of
He's
this.
like, is he being authentic? You authentic? You authentic little one.
Quality. Look at him. Oh, he's
Well, there it
knackered.
goes.
Look
He's
at him.
authentic with one tooth.
One
One
tooth.
little tooth at the bottom. Okay,
He's
so,
raging. Look at he's absolutely fizzing. It's like, get me down and bark in my pit.
Barkley, you're going to say hello to the whole world, man. He's like, just this thing doesn't care. All right, well, maybe next time we'll have a better luck with the mascot.
All right, well, introduce the podcast mascot, Barkley.
Right,
100%.
Barkley, you be nicer next time.
He's like, get
He's
to
like, do
France.
you wanna give
Get
a
to
shit
France. Well,
next
you're in
time?
France, are you?
Eh? Well, that. Sorry. Go on then. Go on then. You moan. Voila. There he goes. Next time.
So, Fitz kicking off with you. How's things?
Not bad. Not bad. I'll just sort out if. There we go. Yeah, no, all set. All set. Ready for episode 2.
I know,
Yeah.
two. I mean, I think it's worth saying. Remember what I was saying to you about the 21 episodes?
Yeah.
So I read an article, oh God, probably it was last year sometime, that said if you're doing a podcast and you get to 21 episodes, you're in the top 1% of podcasts in the world for in terms of kind of episodes. And I think I suppose that's like a little milestone and a goal for us to get to. And I dare say that we'll get there as we continue to do it. It's
Yeah.
not so much about the numbers, but it's more about it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality of what we're
Oh
doing.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but I mean, I guess if you want to aim for something, it's something to aim for are the
Mm.
same.
Well,
And
we've
then
got
we can
19 more to go.
tell you, I think it will soon come around. It will soon come around
Well, I
pretty
hope
quick.
so. It's kind of the point.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, but today really gets stuck into authenticity,
100%. I think it's like the first episode is very much a kind
Introductory.
of who we are, what we're about,
Yeah,
as well as a wee back and forth of what can be expected in terms of
yeah,
the conversations that we're having. Like so,
yeah,
yeah, and like well, we're speaking about authenticity, and I said to you before we kicked off recording this, it's like I feel I can be completely myself, warts and all, as
yeah,
they say, and I think by doing this podcast and being able to be truly ourselves, be authentic,
hmm
that will carry all over into like our everyday lives,
mm.
where our relationships, our friends, our family, our work. Um, and we spoke about it on the first podcast. It's like, how do you narrow that gap with the masks that you wear
Aye.
in terms of the mask you wear in your career, the mask you wear when you're
Mm.
in social settings, the mask when you're with your family, and etc. etc. etc.
And also, do you
How do
know
you
if you're actually wearing one?
well, well, that's it. Can look. Think of like, see the thoughts is going to make so many avenues that we can go
Oh
with
yeah,
this, but it's like, how do you close that gap
yeah,
to the masks that you wear
yeah,
to who you are when you're alone with the four walls and the truest reflection of who you are.
yeah,
And I think that's by actually putting yourself out there, and we're doing that in this podcast by
yeah,
putting ourselves out there,
yeah,
and it's people get to see the real Danny, the real George, and that's
yeah,
what it's about. And I think as well, it comes as well that you start to be comfortable in your own skin with it as
hmm
well.
hmm
And there's a lot for saying that, because God, I know with myself, I always felt I had to be performative. I know we hate that word, performative, but I always felt like I had to wear a mask and be performative in various settings. And then if you wear the masks we wear, can sometimes end up making us lose ourselves
hmm
and taking us away from who we truly are.
Yeah.
And I think, as you know me, and I'm gonna like my pals will be absolutely kicking, saying, "Oh Christ, Donny with another quote." But I love a quote. Like
Yeah.
I like attach the quotes and I give them meaning in my own life.
Quote me,
There's a
man.
quote by
Quote me.
Jung. So there's a quote by Jung, and I really like this, and I think it ties into Authentic Selves on our podcast.
Okay.
Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are."
Well.
Now, I think that's like a belter,
Yeah.
absolute
Yeah.
belter. Is that, and that is to say, like, doesn't matter what age you are,
Mhm.
doesn't matter if you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, all the way through. Doesn't matter who you are, like how old you are.
Yeah.
It's you get time in your lifetime to find out who you truly are.
Yeah.
But see that it's been my observation, and it's a horrible thing to say. It breaks my heart. Is most people go through their lives never knowing who they truly fucking are, and
Mhm.
that's it. Here we go. Here's the first quack already as
It's
well.
actually the
Um,
second quack.
is it?
Yeah.
Oh well. I tell you, I'm getting well out of pocket by 21 episodes
Ah,
after
you'll
this.
be out
Like
of
so.
pocket. Well, actually, I think I had more quacks than you the last one, so I'm just gonna not say anything.
Well, I'll eat. We'll even the playing field. I'll make a few. But it's true though. It's like I suppose that then makes me think about the concept of time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then you think about time and you think about the experiences that you've had in life
Mhm.
and how they have had an effect on your character and who you want to be,
Mhm.
how they've shaped you, how they've molded you, how they've forged you, if you want to say that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm thinking about quotes off the back of that as well. But Christ, they would end up boring the tits off you if you kept on saying it.
Three, four quacks.
Is
Good.
it?
We're like what, 10 minutes in or so.
What? See, I don't
Oh,
even
you
know I'm
go for it.
saying it.
Go
It's
for it.
just,
You're fine. You're fine.
it's just gonna be like every time I'm speaking, it's just I'm gonna be like I should maybe dress in like a duck outfit or something
Dude,
like
you're gonna be like the
like
first podcaster who's gonna end up poorer after it.
yeah, probably. But hey, all
Uh,
for a good cause. All
as
for a
long as
good
you're
cause.
authentic, eh?
Well, aye,
There
yeah.
was something I
It's
was gonna say
a bit
about.
rough around the edges.
Yeah, no, you're fine. No, you're fine. That's why everybody loves you.
Aye, aye.
But there was a couple of things that you had mentioned there. The quote from Jung. What was
Mhm.
that quote again?
Um, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are.
Aye, that's the one. Um, I don't have enough short-term or long-term, I should say, memory cells for to be able to remember quotes and stuff like that, by the way. But the thing with that is a little bit when you're talking about the biggest privilege. It's what we were talking about in the first episode. The how do I say the little click that starts the awareness process. Because if you're doing that, then to the privilege to be. See, I've forgotten the quote already, man. That's short-term memory.
The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you
Voila,
truly are.
there you go. So, if that's the case, then if you don't, then it means you haven't been aware of it the whole time. And the follow-up thought I had from that was looking at I can't remember if we mentioned this. I can't remember. It's like I
Doesn't
do
matter. Just say what's on
guys.
your
It's
mind.
like yeah, no, two master's degrees and teacher, all the rest of it. But hang on, that's
Nothing
Barkley
wrong with
doing
that.
his thing now. Um, just so what I was saying was yeah. So if we do edit all that barking out, uh, the privilege, then it means that you don't know it. You haven't had the click to start the awareness process, which means you've gone through your life without knowing who the real you is or could have been, I guess, at that point. And the follow-up thought on that was the Erik Erikson and his life cycle. And I can't remember. I think we talked about this before. I don't think we did on the last episode, but integrity versus despair, the last category of Erickson's life cycle. So the psychosocial.
Who's who is Ericsson? If you pardon my ignorance, like who's
He's a kind of offshoot. I don't know if he would like that, but an offshoot of Freud. in the
Oh, right, okay.
psychoanalysis. And Eric, so he had his. There's Eric Erickson, who's apparently a hypnotist, and it's not him, or maybe it's not Eric Erickson, it's somebody Erickson anyway, and it's not.
Oh,
It's
okay.
some hypnotist, like in psychology and stuff, but it's not him. It's this. So Eric Erickson. So he had this life cycle, and it's the same. It's stage theory, and you go through. Everybody has to go through stages. It's the same as Freud. You've got your first stage to go through a conflict to be resolved. If you don't resolve the conflict, it gets passed on to adulthood. Then you get your problems and all that kind of stuff. And Erickson, his last one was integrity versus despair, which is the point where you look back at your life. Um, and so you're either in this side of integrity where you're like, okay, I'm happy with my life. I lived it well. I found meaning. I found purpose. It's all good, or there's despair, and that's the thing, because then it becomes real despair, because it's you're kind of
So,
too late to change. He says it's until basically 65, but the retirement rate's gone up since then. I think it's like 67 or something, at least over in Switzerland. But and so it's like it's not necessarily too late to change, but you're really in that last little bit. And it's like if you look at this, if you get to the realization at that point that or the awareness start, the click of the awareness process when you're into that 65 plus, it's like your time's shorter. So it's never
mhm.
too late.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
it's like if you do it then, or sorry, if you don't do it then at all, and then you realize, maybe you don't realize and it's all right, but if you do, I don't know, deathbed stuff, but
So,
it's
so would
like,
that be, so would that be like, would it be fair to say that if you come upon a realization later on in life that you have, let's just say, been holding up an avatar
aye.
of something that isn't a true reflection of you,
Hmm.
then that's when the world comes crumbling down.
It doesn't have to come crumbling down. Then it depends on resilience and all these things about how you can deal with all that and what's your, how internally strong you are and all these kind of things.
Mhm.
But that's the risk. Let's say you can put it like that. It's a risk that if
Mhm.
you don't figure it out at that point, maybe you'll go through the whole process and it's okay, and you never know, and maybe in the next life, if you believe in all that stuff, that it's okay. But the point is at that point that if you miss it and then you realize, like lastminute.com, if you want that
Time's against you to say.
time's against you, then the pressure's on because the clicks happened. But
Mhm.
the other thing with that is that, like I said, if it's despair, then it's real despair if you figure that out a little bit late, because as I said,
But
it's
is
never
there?
necessarily too late, but it's the real despair where you realize that things could have been different, but they weren't,
Mhm.
and then you're like, what have I done with my life? And then there's all the massive questions because you're also looking at more, looking a bit
See,
closer at mortality.
you said like you said despair,
Yeah.
right? Now, where my head goes with that is that through through despair,
Hmm.
sometimes we have moments in life where, well, let's just say you hit rock bottom,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
had a
And
couple of
if
them.
you find your, well, yeah, and well, you said a couple of them, right?
Yeah.
If you find yourself at rock bottom more than once in your life, for whatever reason, it could be a whole host of reasons, something within the external world's happened, or we talk about in like looking inward. You haven't done the inward work,
Hmm.
then you're not on an even keel or on solid ground
Hmm.
internally,
Hmm.
right? But I think despair's an interesting one, and I suppose it's as like try to keep a positive view on it, because if you say despair,
Hmm.
people imagine like there's that negative connotation with it, with that word, right?
Hmm.
But I often think the start of despair is the start of the journey into yourself,
Absolutely.
because then you start asking questions to say, well, for instance, my
What the hell's
internal
wrong?
world and external world is chaos just now. There's
Yeah.
no alignment,
Yeah.
and that's what it is. Like, and I think too, like there's something that I worked on in my coaching, and I've built into my coaching, something that I call the theory of two worlds.
Hmm.
And the theory of two worlds, I call, it's the internal world and the external world, but I call it the core realm, which is the inner world, and the outer arena,
Hmm.
because The outer arena is very much a game in the core realm. It starts as a fight, but when you've chose to go down to the depths of the abyss which is in your soul,
Mm,
and all the things that you've chose to suppress,
hmm.
ignore, avoid through the course of your life,
Aye.
when you're down at that point, and you're with that monsters that you've chose to suppress and ignore,
Mm,
you need to understand why they are there.
hmm.
You need to seek counsel with them
Hmm.
and say, how can we work in tandem? And I guess this is very much what I'm trying to say is tying in with Jung's integration of the shadow.
Aye.
You integrate your shadow by going down and thingy, but it's like a lot of people in this world serve only one world, the outer arena.
Hmm.
They think it's the thing, and they don't look within themselves
Hmm.
to say, right, well, what do I want for life? Because you know what, like life gets busy.
Hmm.
You get married, you get a house, your job, and you get responsibilities, financial responsibilities, and that then becomes the outer arena that
Yeah.
needs to be, you need to kind of focus on to keep your head above water.
Hmm.
But very few people look internally because it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, we
Because it's
said that the last time. Yeah.
haunting. It's haunting to do that,
Yeah.
to look within yourself.
It's confrontation, man, which is what we try
100%.
to avoid all
Mm-hmm.
the time. What do you want? What do you not want? Problems. Well, how do I not have problems? I just avoid the hell out of what I'm
Yeah.
trying to not
Procrastination,
confront.
like like some turn, like in extreme cases, turn to drink and drugs to
Yeah.
numb things as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it's like I find that fascinating about that. But then it's almost like try to flip it on its head and say, if you are going through some sort of chaos in your life, be it external or internal, it's try to look at it and think this is the start of the discovery of myself
Hmm.
and who I'm going to be and
Well,
what I want from life.
this is it, and this is you talked about drugs and alcohol, and particularly with alcohol. This
Mm-hmm.
is one of the reasons why you do not want to go down the alcohol path, really, um, because you know what the point is. You have a drink and things start to chill a little bit, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
alcohol does. That's how it works. It's like it's the negative reinforcement loop, which is in any
Mm-hmm.
case always temporary. And so what happens? You feel, I mean, we'll talk about this in a minute because we'll do this. I think it would probably be good to dedicate this one, I think, to my mother, who
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm all for that, mate.
we'll
100%.
do that because, we'll see how it, well, anyway. But that was one of the things, and it's like the example I had it when I was over. You're dealing with impending death, then you're dealing with death, and then you're dealing with the after effect of death, and grief, and some suffering, and administration as well. There's that in itself can drive you
Yeah.
to drink sometimes, administration. But the point is with that, it's like there's two roads in that point that you can go. It's like to the sedative route, or you can go
Mm-hmm.
and find truth. Sedative route is going to be your alcohol and drugs, and
Mm-hmm.
particularly alcohol. And we say, with alcohol, that's one of the things because it's so easily available, and that's one of the things with I think we mentioned the last time maybe with addiction, sugar, alcohol, cigarettes, all these things. It's like you can go out and within 5 minutes you got five, six different places where you can buy that crap, you
Yeah,
know,
aye. There's a
and
number of vices.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, but the how do you call it? Availability is one of the things, and it's so easy to get these things. And so the thing is, if you're going down with alcohol, we know what the alcohol does. It just lessens the intensity of the negative emotion. That's what happens. We know it. Everybody knows it. You have a drink, you start to relax a little bit. But why they call it is a negative reinforcement loop, again, which is always temporary because the effect is always temporary. And so you'll go have a couple of drinks, you'll chill, and then you're back at it the next day and you're back up to, you know, 70, 80% anxiety, stress, all the rest of it. Have a couple of drinks at night, it calms down. And then, and then with the conditioning which goes in there, because you're saying, okay, this is your brain's like, this is the effect that I want, this is the effect that I get, so I'm going to do it again. And then you
Mm-hmm.
go, the longer it gets, the increase of tolerance, and then it just becomes a or it can
Yeah.
do, if you're
Yeah.
not watching
Aye.
yourself. And so you've got that choice to do it there. Again, which is also always temporary, and it's always going to cause trouble one way or another in your functioning in your daily life, relationships, whatever you want. Or you could take the other road. But the other road, there's no sedative.
Mm.
But it's like incredibly rewarding and incredibly interesting, uh, and uh, surprising and beneficial in whatever, in lots of different ways if you take that route. But the thing is, you have to go through all that stuff kind of like cold turkey, you
Yeah,
know?
it's like it's the least traveled path because you
Is it?
said something there about alcohol and drugs. It's so readily accessible.
Yeah,
So it's like, oh well, that seems like the fix to, let's just say, numb the things that are going on within my head and
yeah,
within my body just now and
yeah,
the external shit I need to deal with, sort
yeah.
of thing. And it's like if you choose to stay away from that path and then you go down the path of right self-discovery, like self-discovery, would that
Yeah.
be fair to
Oh yeah,
say?
for sure. No,
To
no.
look inward, to then say
Uh,
take stock of where you are
yeah,
and where you want to be, and moreover how you got there in the first
yeah,
place, so that you don't find yourself there again. I.e., that is to say, you're not making the same mistakes, constantly, to then plummet down to the bottom, a rock bottom again.
just a sec. I'm just gonna get up to the same level as you.
Like,
There we
it's
go.
like positioning. It's like
I was like, looking, I was like, all
back
right,
crap,
Danny.
man, back crap.
Yeah, so that, but yeah, no, absolutely, that's the thing. But it's just that, but it does mean that you don't necessarily have to start with, to be super strong inside and all the rest of it. It's like, but that's going to be the end result.
Yeah,
That you can guarantee. You're going to increase your capacity to deal with all the crap life throws at you. Um, Towards the
yeah.
end, or through the process. Like I said, the last time, everything's a process. But it's going to be really, really difficult at the start. But once, it's almost like, let's say, even a positive reinforcement loop, because you're going to start to see some results. You start to see some results, and you're thinking, okay, nice. I'm getting something
But
out of this.
see,
And
the thing is, and this is, I think people don't talk about this, but sack it. I'm gonna talk about it because I think it's very important,
go for it, man.
and to not paint the illusion that by walking the path least traveled that is going to be comfortable,
Oh, it's not
because it's
going to
not
be.
comfortable, because
Sorry,
it's
I'm on
like
my way down again.
it's all right, mate. No, no worries. But it's like I liken it like you're walking through hell. You're going to walk through hell,
Hmm.
and it's going to be very uncomfortable, and it's going to burn.
Hmm.
But sometimes it takes being burned completely away to nothing in order to the rise from the ashes, reborn anew,
Oh yeah.
reborn different,
Hmm.
reborn stronger, reborn like with this self assurance that you know what you're about and who you are
Yeah.
and what you want to do in this
Yeah.
life. And it's like when you find out what you want to do in this life, it's like if you work towards it a little bit every day and you're consistent with it, things eventually have to come good because you're working towards it. And I was thinking about this before we kicked off the podcast, George, right? And this is like I would love for people to try and take this on board,
Hmm.
right? Your job as an individual is to be better than you were yesterday. It's
Hmm.
not you against the world, it's
Hmm.
you against you.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, and I'll try and put it in this way so it's understandable. Your only job every day is to be 1% better than the man or the woman you were
Hmm.
yesterday. Now, if you can do that consistently over a year,
Yeah.
1% better, I don't give a what you've got going on in your life, how busy your life is, everything's new.
Hmm.
Everybody can get 1% better every day.
Oh, for sure.
Now, if you get 1% better every day through the whole course of a year, you will be 365% better than you would have been if you didn't
Yeah.
start. And I'll tell you, you'll be levels above people that aren't doing that and aren't thinking that, because eventually you work 1% better every day. And you might not see the results for a while,
Hmm.
but if you consistently hear that in your head, just say, okay, what's the top three things that I have got to get done today?
Well,
Bang, get it out.
I think there's two things in there. One is that if you're not sure who you are, you don't know, and the negative part of all that, it's like the world happens to you. But then
Yeah,
once you
yeah.
start figuring things out and you start doing the inner work and start finding out, whatever on earth your true self looks like, then you start happening to the world.
Hmm.
It's the opposite way. And then you're not, at the, how do I say, you're not at the mercy of the world. It's like you start to control, because this is another thing we talked about last time was control. And you got to have
Hmm.
power over your emotions.
Yeah.
And if you're having power, like I said at the time, power over something, you have power over what is your emotions. And so at that point, you're not just reacting to the world, you're kind of acting on the world.
Hmm.
And so that's one thing. The second thing I think from that is 1%. It's doable, and this is the thing. You're not wanting to go right into the idealistic. This is how I want to be, and just go there. It's like you have to do it gradually, and you have to have
Yeah.
realistic goals. The goals have to be realistic, because otherwise you're risking, firstly, not obtaining your goals, and secondly, the guilt that comes with not obtaining your goals. So you got to do it incremental.
You said something, it was the previous podcast, and I think it very much ties into what we're talking about now.
Hmm.
That you said, like, when you're going through the start of something, i.e., something uncomfortable, some pain point, some struggle or strife in life,
Hmm.
you can't be at
Ah,
the
yeah.
end destination.
You
You
can't be.
can't. You've got to start where you are, and it's
Yeah.
like you're 100% to see exactly what you're saying.
You
Like,
can't be at the start and the end of a process at the same time.
yeah, you've got to go through it, and this is it. It's like the person that loves the journey more than the destination
Hmm.
will become a more well-rounded person once they're through the other side of that.
Yeah, yeah, and everything else. Well, there's lots of things which come out of that in terms of results. I mean, resilience for one.
Mm-hmm.
All the, like we said before, all the life will throw at you. Absolutely, you can deal with it a little bit better. It doesn't make it less important or not important. It just makes it a bit easier to deal with, because you come out with the strength to actually be able to deal with it and not be battered
Mm-hmm.
around by it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to feel yourself generally more at ease with yourself and in yourself. I mean, it's like, the again, if we flip this back to going towards drugs and alcohol way, or going towards this, I don't like the term self-help, man, but
No,
it's
no,
kind of
it's like
but
it's become too airy fairy and fluffy,
yeah,
like fluffy now. It's like what does that mean? Like get down to the crux of actually what it means.
yeah, authenticity,
Authenticity. There we
authentic
go.
selves
Bada bing,
podcast,
bada
man.
boom, baby.
That's the one. So, but yeah, it's like, because basically in the end, that's the trade-off. It's
Hmm.
either going to be avoidance, or it's going to be um, sedation, or it's going
Hmm.
to be inner work and progression.
Love that. I
And I
love
think that's your three, basically they're your three choices. You're going to choose one of these three. You might start fluctuating a little bit between the two. I mean, I
that.
still,
Avoidance. What was it? Avoidance. I'm writing it down actually because I like that. I'm got me thinking.
just off the top of my head, what did I say? I said it's either going to be avoidance, sedation, or progression through inner work. It's going to be one of these three. And as I said, you're going to start probably going a little bit all over. You're not just going to go only in a sedation path, for example, because guilt is going to come in there at some time. You're sitting uh, drinking your nights away, um, and you can be absolutely guaranteed that you're going to start feeling guilt for what you're doing, especially if you're in a relationship, especially if you've got responsibilities, maybe even more so if you don't have responsibilities, if there's, looking for a job or
But
something like that. Yeah,
see, like the guilt side
yeah.
of things. That's a very interesting point, right? Because
Guilt's a killer, man.
yeah, but it's like you said it there. It's the guilt on maybe like a spouse or whatever, or family or whatever, right? But I think is very interesting. It's the guilt that you have towards yourself, knowing that you could be more.
Yeah. Well, that too. That
Yeah.
too. Because there's going to probably be flashes of that. Because what you're going to
Hmm.
do, you said, we said before, everything's in the external world. All your sensory perception is going out into the external world. Um, and so what does that mean? Well, that means your relationship with your spouse, your partner, your relationship maybe with your little dog. It means your work. It means your friendships. It means being self-conscious if you go outside at 9 o'clock in the morning and you're looking like absolute shit. What's everybody else going to think? And that's all the external stuff, but the internal stuff as well. You're going to get flashes of that and saying, "What the hell am I
Yeah.
doing?"
See, the one thing you just touched on there, and it just jumped out at me immediately,
Uh-huh.
was, you go outside and you're feeling like shit, and people are going to be maybe pass judgment on you, say.
Oh, they will.
But
You
it's
can
like,
bet. They will.
I think you get to a point though, George, and certainly I've arrived at this point where I used to worry so much about what people thought of me,
Hmm.
and with that, I become a people pleaser.
Hmm.
Wanted to please people, right?
Yeah.
But there there comes a point where you realise that you can't please everybody,
Oh yeah.
and by trying to please everybody, you end up losing yourself.
Yeah. Boundaries,
So
man. You got to have
that
boundaries.
is to say, if you can't please everybody, you be as well please yourself.
Hmm.
And that's not coming from a selfish point of view. That's
Hmm.
coming from a place, I think, of self-love. If I can please myself, then in turn I will be in a better position that I can have a positive effect around the
Yeah.
people that are in my world and the
Ah,
world at large.
exactly.
So it's like it's there's always, I think there's always a positive to every negative, and there's a negative to every positive.
Hmm.
But you don't look for the negative in every positive.
Yeah.
But if you do, it's good to understand it and maybe how you're perceived. But I don't know. I think I'm maybe a bit long in the tooth now and seen too much.
I'm longer in the tooth than you. That's for sure.
Well, aye, but I think you get to a point where you realise that opinions are like bum holes, right? Everybody's got one, but not everybody should hear it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know. And I'm
Absolutely.
saying bum holes because I want to keep that in instead of the word that I
Yeah,
really
you're
want to
still a
use.
negative, man.
So that one I get edited out. So,
Oh, that one
but
will.
it's true. But it's true. It's like, it, forget about what people think of you. And this is, well,
It's not easy to do, but it's
no, mia mento mori. Remember, we're going to die,
yeah.
right? And you are the creator of your own life. You decide how you want to show up in this world, and regardless whether you choose to put good out into this world or you choose to be a horrible bugger,
Yeah.
right? People are going to judge you regardless.
Hmm.
So you be as well be true to the essence that is you,
Hmm. And find out what that essence is. That's the thing. And that's if
100%. And that's, yeah.
yeah. Oh, for sure, I'm with you 100%.
This is good stuff, man. This is good stuff.
You enjoying this?
I'm buzzing like a knackered fridge, mate. I mean, it's quality, like so. Aye, no, I've had a good week, man. I'm up and throwing darts. I'm good, man. I'm,
What
I'm
did you
like, I've
say?
had
The cat's pajamas.
it's
Had
a
to throw,
cat's pajamas, man. Cat's pajamas.
had to throw that one in.
Cat's
Um,
pajamas. But
but yeah, no, that again, it always comes, and this is hopefully the point which we're doing with this podcast, is to start get that little click. Get that little click. We're not necessarily, we can help people along the road, but the real work is to get that first click to say, look,
it's,
what is, yeah, again, the podcast name, what is my authentic self? What is it? What does it look like? Do it,
I
am
think I
I,
said to you like before we kicked off it, the second episode is that if you can make somebody think or feel something,
mhm,
they're going to remember you. But moreover, the the thought, the thinking and feeling part comes from the individual that's maybe listened to something we've said
mm,
and made them think or reflect in their own life.
mhm,
And that might start a process for them to kind of look inward. And that is, honestly, if that was to happen, I think I would like to consider this podcast and like the whole premise of it a success,
yeah,
because that's what it's always been about,
yeah,
is to make people think or feel something. And I think it's important to say as well, obviously this is very early stages, guys,
mm,
but George and I have had conversations about having some guests on as well.
yeah,
And there's some interesting guests that we could have on as well, and I
mhm,
think it'd be good. But I think initially just having the conversations with ourselves,
yeah,
for the first however many episodes to what that is, but a couple of special guests, speakers that are knowledgeable in, say, a certain area
Yeah,
that we can explore, and
go a
obviously
bit
this ties
specialist.
into
Yeah,
the.
yeah,
Yeah,
specializing in
100%. I think
something.
that'd be
Yeah.
great.
There's
Yeah.
lots of, because yeah, I mean, I'm wandering around in some circles where there's some interesting people. Uh,
Top hat and monocles, Jaws with a cigar. Yeah. Twirly moustaches.
yeah, we just sit in the
Yeah,
sit
like
in
Dick Dastardly.
on an evening, just twiddling the mustache. But there's plenty kind of interesting people, but also I think only people that it's kind of like it's a maybe a weird example, but for me, people and are like music. For me, if I don't feel them, if I don't feel it, it's hard, man. It's hard to continue. You can sit and play your role, and you talk about there's your example of the mask and stuff. You can play your role at work or within
Mm.
friendships, but if I don't really feel somebody, um, it's difficult to get into any decent kind of interesting or meaningful, let's say, conversation. I just
Yeah,
it's not.
yeah.
I don't. I'm not vibing with it.
But that's the thing though, George. Like in this life, you are going to meet people that you're not going to get on with. There's
Hmm.
going to be people that you meet that the two of you are going to be like oil and water. You
Yeah.
ain't going to mix. You know what I mean? It's nae, that is something that you come upon, but it's not to say that you want to enter into any sort of war with these people,
Oh
if you want
no,
to say it like that. It's
absolutely not.
like it's recognizing and think, you're not my cup of tea, I'm not your cup of tea.
And that's
Let's
okay.
be respectful. Yeah, that's okay. Let's be respectful. I wish you the best in your journey. I'm going to
Huh.
go and do me and then find your tribe that way.
Well, this
But
is one of the reasons why I didn't want to have any politics in here because it's like that's for me. It's like that's how it is for me with politics now. I'm just like, we don't agree about whatever. That's fine.
mm,
I'm not gonna try and convince you that I'm right and you're wrong. It's like, okay, of course different points of view are going to exist. Um, but I'm not going to start calling you a bad person or,
mm,
unless you're really a bad person. But it's like, I'm not going to personify all the ideologies and the beliefs because that's not the person anyway. It's the
mm.
ideology and it's the belief. It's not the actual person. You're just parroting like again the ideologies and beliefs, and I don't want to get involved in that at all because
Yeah.
there's never any benefit from it. I said in the last time, it's like what's the worst possible thing you can do for your mental health? Sit down on a Thursday night with a beer and watch the news. It's
Mhm.
too
No, I
much
agree with you, mate. I've no time
conflict.
for it either. I've no time for
um
it. It's like if you're not going to engage in a conversation that like there's respect and interest
well,
there,
that's the
then
thing.
yeah,
Interest
it's
and
like no,
curiosity. Where is it? What
yeah,
happens? It's normally the time you look at all these political programs in the news, and it's like it's the same. I saw this in when I was over in Scotland. I see this in France. I see this in Switzerland, and it's just like it's monologues, man. Nobody's
mhm,
interested in actually having a conversation with the possibility of maybe learning something from the other person. It's just 100%
hundred
monologue,
percent.
monologue.
But do you not think as well though that these that like I find with these ideologies in certain put in the realm of politics and news is
Mm.
that there's no original thought there. It's a collective.
Rarely.
It's almost like you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's no sort of original thought. This is you are building your lens of the world on borrowed opinions.
Oh yeah. It's very, very rare to find something original, and don't make the mistake either of thinking original and positive stuff is just because you agree with it. If
Yeah,
you look at that objectively, and it's I can't really have an opinion because basically I stopped watching the news about 5 or 6 years ago, before or
yeah.
more than that maybe, before COVID, because I was like, I'm not getting anything out of this. Nobody is.
No,
You're just like you're
no.
sitting
It's
there
like, but
cross brow, blah blah blah.
you do get something out of it. I would say as a caveat, you do get something out of it, but it's not positive. It's
Oh yeah,
negative. It's like
yeah,
you feel horrible about yourself,
yeah,
and there's a degree of fear and worry, and that is the things that media legacy offer up
yeah,
is fear, conformity, and worry.
yeah.
And I'm not interested in that peddling. I'm not interested in it, and it's like remove myself. I don't need to watch it. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not
Well,
interested.
that's the
Just
thing. I mean, if you ask yourself, how is this different at the end of the day for me?
yeah.
And even you go into the whole thing, it's like what politician is in, what party's in power, what prime minister or president or whatever it is, if they're in power, really at the end of the day, what is practically different?
Mhm.
And most of the time, it's nothing. So anyway, long story short, politics, that's not something I want to do here at all,
100%.
because I
I'm
don't
with
think
you. I'm
there's
with you.
any positive that can
No,
come out of
there's
that.
no benefit to it. There's no benefit to it either, and it's not a conversation that, as I said, makes you grow or
Yeah,
evolve.
yeah. Oh, well, it
So it's
doesn't. It
like,
doesn't.
yeah,
It's
no,
just entrenched opinions against entrenched opinions, and nobody is really interested in really hearing and listening to what the other person has to say. It's like, one of these things in the humanist psychology, which they're talking about active listening. It's like, dude, these guys are not even listening, not even before we even talk about active listening. And what's active listening? Well, firstly, listen to what somebody's saying, but also, the other one has to know that you're actually listening to them and that you're understanding and you're really thinking about what they're doing. So what are you doing with that? Well, you're rephrasing what they're saying to you. You're asking questions. There's one thing which is super interesting, actually. They call it symbolic language, and it's like, oh, I feel like I was run over by a bus. And it's like, okay, well, what does that bus look like? What does
yeah,
that
yeah.
bus feel like?
See
And
now
this is active
we're
listening.
getting
This,
into the coaching territory, questions and
yeah,
sort of stuff. I love all that.
nice.
This is my bag. I like this. Like,
Okay. Well, that's the active listening thing. Then it's like take that because this is what it is. And there was somebody, I'm not going to say who, but had gone to see about a therapist, to go and talk to a therapist after some trouble, and he was like, they haven't got back to me, and so he had phoned them, had a conversation, and they were meant to get back to him, and they haven't got back to him. And he was like, I think I'm going to drop it. I was like, yeah, drop it like a hot potato, man, because you're not going to you're not going to get anywhere near the amount you could get out of it if this is how it starts, because it's always going to be a relationship of trust, acceptance, non-judgment, all these kind of things. And if you're already having blocks at the start, it's like this isn't going to work.
yeah,
Or if it
it's like,
works, it's going to work minimally, you know?
yeah, like 100% see what you're saying. Like I've got a few things swirling about my
Hmm.
napper just now, but one thing that you said there in terms of like I've went through counselling before, and I had a counsellor and got on with him. Okay, let's
Hmm.
say fine, it was good, it was fine, helped me, but I wasn't really, how would I say, wasn't really like a solid connection, but
Yeah.
it was an okay connection. Then I had another bout of counselling, and the counsellor I had, I was like, oh, I'm just not gelling with this person. And I feel that I could be completely open.
That's
And
also
by
not to say, just sorry, just to cut, that's not to say
yeah.
that the counsellor is a bad counsellor or something.
No, no, not
It's,
at all. No, not at all. It was just not like no, not at all. It was just
it was, uh,
we didn't click,
yeah,
say. But for whatever reason, this counsellor, I think, left the place that I was doing counselling, and I got another counsellor, and it
mhm,
started like the 10 week kind of program again with this, and honestly, it just clicked.
mhm,
It was just immediately clicked. I think it was because I was in such a bad place. I was
yeah,
like, but see, when you get somebody, a counsellor or somebody that you can speak to that gets it, understands where you're at,
yeah,
and maybe have walked that path before themselves,
yeah,
which is very, very valuable as well.
mhm,
The compassion, the empathy, and the active listening, as well as the understanding as
mhm,
well, all kind of marry together,
yeah.
and that is when real kind of transformation happens. But see,
Well, that's
something you
it.
said on the active listening, like there's a lot of people in this world that didn't listen, didn't listen to actually understand. They listen to respond.
Oh yeah, that was one of the first things I got taught well back when just 20 years ago when I started to teach English over here because it was the first job I got, and it was like listening isn't waiting to speak.
Yeah,
And it's like you look at again, you don't want to come back to the news and stuff, but that's exactly what you see on the TV every day. And then
Mm-hmm.
you're like, you want to start talking about role models and all the rest of it? It's no,
Mm-hmm.
bye, not interested. No.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my 2 cents and all that kind of thing. My
Uh,
two, yeah, 2 cents. What about
interesting.
yours?
It's an interesting conversation for sure. But active listening skills. I think as well. It's like you have one mouth, two eyes, and two ears. Yet
Hmm.
we use our one mouth more than we use our eyes and our ears.
Yeah. Oh, for
You
sure.
know,
What's that Scottish phrase we got? The about listening
Scott,
more than you speak.
give your arse a biscuit and your mouth a chance.
Not the one I had in mind, but sure, that
Well,
works.
maybe a Donny saying like, but yeah, but yeah.
Dear, sorry.
See the silence, just the pause in the silence. That's bang. There
Yeah,
you go.
there you go.
Ah, crap. No,
Comedic
no, I
timing.
don't know. But like, what is it? Like,
I
try to
can't
think.
remember what it was, but it's basically says you should listen more than you speak. I'll Google it. I'll check it for the next one. But I don't
I know.
think arse
Yeah,
biscuits aren't involved.
no, but yeah, that's Donny's one.
There you go.
Give your butt a biscuit in your mouth a chance. There we go.
So yeah, but anyway, so just the going back, coming back to the authenticity stuff. It's like if you
Mm,
really are, you're talking about the active listening. It's also, I think, a way of understanding if somebody has done at least a bit of inner work, because then they're actually wanting to listen and find out because that's coming from curiosity, and curiosity in
mhm.
yourself is the key
Yeah,
thing to help
yeah.
kick all this off. You know, without the curiosity, it's difficult to have. It's difficult to have curiosity without awareness. They're almost contradictory.
Yeah.
Um, and if you're putting that in a sense of, going through the suffering or pain or whatever it is, and this is the segue, by the way, onto
Mhm.
uh, my mother.
Yes, aye. Let's go for it,
So
man.
I was like, I'm trying to, how do I make this sound natural? I was like, I'll just say it, but it is true. It's like the to have, yeah, curiosity without awareness is not an easy thing to be able to work with, you know,
The
because
two marry together, do they?
they're kind of, yes, it's almost like non-dualistic because it's like they kind of marry together, but they're also pretty contradictory because
Yeah.
if you don't,
Quite paradoxical in a
yeah,
way, is it?
yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
and that was one of the things, and so the segue
There we
into
go.
talking
Drum
about,
roll. You want a
there
drum
you
roll?
go, go for it. um, was that, and like we said, we'll dedicate this episode to my mother who
Yeah.
passed 21st of January, so just a little over a month ago. Um, and with that, that was one of the things because I was like, there's a couple of things going on because for the funeral, I said I stopped being
Yeah.
Christian 2019 with the burnout and everything, and I was like, how do I say something in a church which will resonate with people but also be me? And I don't want to put on like it's a kind of weird dynamic because it's like I didn't want to put on a Christian mask, if you want, because I don't have anything against it. I don't have any anger towards it. It's just it didn't work out for me, and that's it. But in this specific situation where my parents, all my family basically is like super Christian, and I got out of it, how do I say something that is still meaningful in that circumstance, coming from my point of view? Um,
So, so here's a question for you. Like,
I
did
saw a
you
question
feel?
coming there.
Yeah, it was like you said there. Like, how do I say something meaningful to that, say, demographic of people,
Yeah,
which in a Christian setting? It's like I think, regardless of race, religion, sexuality, or creed, if you speak for the heart, that comes through. People
yeah,
get it. You know?
yeah. That's I think so. But I would say for what I tried to do. and y'all let me know if it worked out or not. I had a positive response from everything. I had a really positive response from two actually
It
who
certainly
came to
made me
talk.
think when I read it as well, mate. It
Well,
certainly made me think
it
about
was
that.
like I want to do something which is, like I said, authentic, which is actually me, at least me at the moment. Um, but also being completely aware that I'm inside a church talking to a majority Christian uh, audience. Um, and so, how do I do that? Well, I was like, okay, I'm going to try and make something a bit general. So, and also tried to, and it, I tried to be last because it's like, you got the eulogy, which was all, about mum and everything, which dad had written. And, so that was Christian based. So was what my brother was saying. And I was like, well, if I come in last, then if I can word it so that people can interpret what they hear into their belief system, then that's my job done.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
think it worked. People, as I said, the response from who came to tell me was pretty positive. I'd already sent it. The only reason, really, well, not the only reason, but one of the reasons why I thought about doing this today was because one of the guys that I work with doing end of life care, he
Hmm.
said, "You got to get this out because it's kind of, I got something from it too."
Well,
So
to save people waiting in suspense, get it read.
here we go. So what I was saying was, what I said was, instead of saying a few words about mum, I wanted to be her message, just wrapped in a different envelope, which is me. Um, every meeting ends in separation, and that's the deal down here. It always has been. It's just a condition of being human. And we come together and we love and we lose, even for people we don't like. And I specifically put that in because it's always, if you want to practice real compassion, it's like, how do you practice real compassion in somebody you don't like? And that's why I put that one in. So uh, everybody loves and loses, even people we don't like. We've all got the same deal. So today is our loss. Tomorrow it will be someone else's. And we can wish for consistency, for permanence, for something that will finally stay down here forever, but changes the rule. And the space that Mum left behind does not isolate us in our grief, it connects us. All of us here today, and everyone who has ever loved and had to let go. So absence is not separative. Space is not as separative as it first seems, it's connective. And like the stars, it's the space between them that allows us to see their light. And every one of you is a light. And that's something important to remember that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Meaning works in the same way. It doesn't disappear when somebody dies. Meaning, like the person, changes its form. And this is why grief hurts, because love no longer has a body. And meaning also always takes the shape of relationship. And Mum's love formed a different relationship around all of us. And now it lives differently in each of us. And the meaning that we take from our relationship with her gives us direction in her absence. It's a signpost to use our grief as material to live more deeply and more spiritually. And when the intensity of what we're feeling begins to soften in our own time, we find that Mum's still teaching. And Mum was a teacher, by the way. This is why I'm using
Okay.
uh,
Yeah.
the teaching, not analogy, but the actual word teacher.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
her lessons are more durable than our grief. And Mum never stopped teaching, especially in the last few months, when she looked directly at what comes next with calm, courage, acceptance, and love. Apart from the hospital fish cakes, because hospital fish cake, there was no love or acceptance for them, none. And I didn't even bother trying them, man, because I was like, nah, not these fish cakes. Um, so when we gather our stories of Mum, which we will do later, When we let the whole of our life speak, not just the ending, meaning begins to reassemble itself in her absence. And that's where we see all our connections with her and with each other, in absence and with clarity. So, in the space that Mum has left, we're being asked to look more clearly at how we relate to one another. Because when we leave here today, the world will look the same. Same
Mm.
streets, the same routines, same responsibilities waiting for us, but we won't be the same. We'll be carrying a bit more weight, and the road may feel a bit steeper and the ground a little bit less forgiving. I think Mum would tell us this: don't exhaust yourself trying to clear the path. Just walk differently, wear better shoes, and you'll go further. If you go further, you'll hurt less. If you hurt less, we'll see more clearly. And then we can relate to each other a little bit more gently, and to ourselves, and to each other, in the way that she taught us. And that was it.
It's so like I wanted to, like I didn't want to interrupt you, but there were so many things within that. I was like, yeah,
It's back.
like, yeah. It was. I can't remember. I didn't want to interrupt you, but there was something there
No.
that was jumping out at me. I just had a bit of a brain fart. It's kind of went. Um, yeah. No, I mean it. Like I said to you when you sent up to me, it's very, very well written and very well worded, and very much like I said to you before, from the heart.
Mm,
And as I said, regardless of the setting or the individuals that are in front of you, beliefs or opinions or whatever they have, when somebody speaks for the heart, that resonates with every individual,
mm.
regardless of where you're from or if you're purple, blue, or whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, try to remember the thing that
Well,
jumped at the most.
basically, the point while you're trying to remember maybe it'll spark something off. It was just like I wanted it to be practical. Obviously I can't
Mhm.
go too deep because it's not a psychology lesson, so I'm not doing that.
No, no,
And
no.
also, time constraints and stuff. It had to be like a couple of minutes or something like that,
Mhm.
3 minutes max. But just enough to say, look, you're not alone. Nobody is. Everybody's got problems. And like I said, like today was our loss, tomorrow's somebody else's. Yesterday was
Yeah.
somebody else's too. You know, it's just how things are. It's not that's not theory. That's just exactly how things are. Everybody's gonna love and lose. I mean, as soon as you come in, you can't avoid it. There was an
Mhm.
interesting thing I was listening to the other night when it was like you didn't. What was it? You weren't born into the world. You were born from the world because you're
Yeah.
it wasn't the right word, but it was like being human. It's a symptom of the world. The world produces the analogy was like an apple tree produces apples. The world produces humans. It's just a stupid example, but it's just like let's try and work with nature a little bit more because that's where we're coming from. You know?
Working with one another as well, George. Like, see, since COVID, like I know we spoke about this before as well, but it's like we're so distant. You know what I mean? In
Yeah,
terms of human beings, like it's like love a little more, hate a little less.
yeah, yeah. That was one of the things, and in Buddhism, we've got one of the things which they say is, you don't have to do, you don't, well, you should, but it's not like you have to do good all the time. It's just like at the absolute minimum, don't hurt anybody.
Yeah,
You
stay
know,
in your own lane, do your own thing. Dinna malevolently encroach on another.
for sure. You
Mhm.
So, but that was the interesting thing. It was like, the apple tree produces apples, but the world produces people. And then
Mhm.
you coming back to what we were talking about before, it's like, well, where's all the individualistic labels that we can all separate each other from? It's like, well,
Mhm.
again, you're coming back, and it sounds an absolute cliche, but it's like, yeah, we are all human beings because we are.
Yeah.
It's like it's really, really that simple. Of course, there's differences with races and cultures and all the rest of it, but it's like, so,
Mhm.
you know, um, stop or not stop. It's just like reduce that intensity of all these differences a little bit and just come back to the fact that you're looking at another human being.
Yeah.
You're not looking at
Yeah.
a plant or an animal or a set of clothes. It's like there's a human being there. That's the what's really important. And
Mm-hmm.
then come back and start seeing what brings us all back together instead of what separates us and divides us, which is another reason why I don't want any politics here,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the whole
Yeah,
point of it
well,
at
because
the minute.
it's division after division
Oh
after
yeah,
division. Like, so yeah, 100%. Yeah,
uh,
100%. Yeah. How are we doing for time anyway?
time. It says a minute, and it says an hour 13, but I think we had about 12 minutes or so of chat
Well,
before,
I suppose we're
so
coming up to the
should be coming up to
the.
more or less an hour.
Here's one thing. I think we should have like a sign off for a podcast, right? And I was thinking of something that I do. I keep a journal of each day,
Yeah.
right? So I write down, what's going on, and within that I do a few things. But there's one thing that I call one truth.
Okay.
So what's my one truth for today? So I
Uh huh.
write down just I suppose you could say a little snappy kind of bit, like
Yeah.
a little bit. Let's just say just a little quote, like, and I wrote today because I was thinking a lot about certain things that have happened in my life that have really changed me. Some hard times, some dark times, but now being in a better place. And to start with, I know we spoke about this as well, the like isolation and solitude. I'm a
Oh
man
yeah.
that loves my solitude. I love being by myself. I love, being in my own energy, my own time and that. And I need time by myself
Mm-hmm.
just to be.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that I wrote was alone through solitude comes clarity of thought, and through clarity comes wisdom.
Uh huh. Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, I'm with you.
that's like one truth. And I was wouldn't mind like so I'll throw it to you. What's your one truth of the day, George?
Oof, my one truth of the day. There's a question.
Because
Uh,
we're playing about with this,
I
right?
would
And playing about with
say,
something like that.
well, after what I was just saying with about mum, I would say, don't be afraid to lose
Mm,
because you
I like
will.
that. I
You
like
will
that.
lose.
Yeah,
That's for
I like
sure.
that. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that's what I would say about that after today. If you want, by the way, what I we started doing with my wife, and also we put Barkley in there, and Barkley's like, you know, living his best life every single day, so he's a lucky one. Um, but one of the things which we started to do was gratitude for three things every night.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I love
And
that. Love it.
it doesn't matter if it's the same thing every night.
Mm.
But it's just like, what do I have to be grateful at the end of, not necessarily for today, but what am I grateful for that I have? And it's like the
Go for it.
basic stuff:
What's your three grateful things you're today? You're grateful for today?
roof over my head,
Yeah.
food, water,
Hmm. Simple.
and connection.
Yeah, I like that.
You know,
I like that.
none of that's
Hmm.
material. Well, some of it's material, the food and the water, obviously, but it's just like, you know, it's just a little practice thing, and you don't have to do it every day. And to be honest, we don't do it every day, but it's like we started to do it, and it's just like it's a good way to calm the mind before you sleep. What am I grateful
Yeah.
for today? And it also changes the direction of thoughts if you're in the rumination and a bit of negativity and stuff, or you just had a bad day. It's like, well, what am I grateful for? You know, and it's just a reminder that everything's not atrocious.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, when the world is dark and you're caught in darkness, you just think everything else is. It's hard to look for the things that we're grateful for, but if you look hard enough, even in your dark times, you'll certainly find a
oh,
fair
there's
few
always
things.
something. It's just that's attention. Where's the attention going? How many
Hmm.
distractions have you got from the what's positive? And yeah, it's most of these things are. I don't know if it's right to say most of life is a question of attention, but um, uh, where the attention's placed And
Mm-hmm.
it's coming. We talked about this the last time. We talked a little bit this in the news today. It's like about the news today. It's the attention seems to gravitate towards the negative,
Mm-hmm.
and the positive seems to be a cut in the generic negative, if you want. It's
Yeah.
rare it's the other way around. We're looking at this as subjective well-being, and you're talking about this. They call it the tripartite structure of subjective well-being, and it's like frequent positive affect, infrequent negative affect, and life satisfaction. It's almost like the positive affect is the cut in the negative affect, which is just always there. Oh. And
Mm-hmm.
so hopefully then authentic selves will be the positive affect to cut the negative affect.